What if Hitler had access to artificial intelligence? The Holocaust would not stop at 6 million. It doesn't stop at all. And that's not a crazy thought to have. It's kind of the principles I've been thinking about for AI ethics for the past year. I've kind of called them Hughes Principles, but by the end of this video, you're going to understand how and why AI is the most dangerous tool ever built. We talk about AI like it's just a productivity tool. You know, it'll help you with your emails. It'll write a paper for you. It'll make a thumbnail for your YouTube video. But there's a framework that I've been developing for about a year. And it changed how I see all of it. And, you know, it highlights the importance of ethical AI guidance. This is going to be a very long one. So, to my 3 subscribers, stay with me. So, here's kind of the theory with AI, and it's kind of becoming a reality, but if you can think it, you can create it. That's like the first premise of my Hughes Principles for AI ethics. If you can imagine it, articulate it, you can build it. AI collapse the bridge between ideas and creation. You know, before AI, if you were to build like a mass surveillance system, right? Like what China has, it would require thousands, hundreds of engineers and, you know, billions in funding, and it would take years to develop and roll out. Now, all it takes is one AI model, one team, one goal. AI has no morals, has no ethics. It's not ethical. It doesn't ask why, it only executes. So the question was never, could we build dangerous things with AI? It's, who is building them? Because someone is. So let's give a little historical context here and look at, like, what if some of the worst historical figures in more modern times had this tool. And really, it wasn't that long ago that these guys were doing what they were doing. The 20th century has given us the most systematic state-sponsored evil in recorded history. And all of it was done with like such primitive technology compared to today's standards. Just, you know, half a century to a century later. First guy I'm going to talk about is Mr. Adolf Hitler. And what he was doing, you know, the Holocaust requires massive logistics. Trains, records, propaganda coordination, and AI could automate all that. Facial recognition could identify Jewish people. Propaganda could get micro targeted to like every household. Dissidents gets flagged before they even act. The death camps would run more efficiently, and none of it requires a human to say yes to each step. Let's take a look at Stalin, another guy in that era. The Soviet Union purged millions of Soviets, killed millions. And Stalin's biggest limitation which, if you read about him, was it was information, but it was because of he didn't know who to trust. He was a very kind of paranoid guy, and he was always worried about who was conspiring against him. And AI would solve that problem. Predictive surveillance monitoring, every conversation, flag ideological deviation before it even has a chance to become organized and act against you. The gulags will just fill themselves with AI. Another example, which this country is probably the most dangerous threat with this tool at the moment, is China and Mao. The Cultural Revolution in China was essentially a mass psychology operation. Red Guards going door to door reporting neighbors destroying culture. With AI, you don't need the Red Guards. You need an algorithm that can monitor social media and flag anyone who doesn't post the right things, or it can dispatch authorities immediately to go to that person if they're flagged. Scary things. And we can see it today in China. I mean, they already have a mass surveillance system. I'm sure they have some of the best AI and ML engineers in the world. I'm sure the government was like, hey, work on this. Another kind of World War II example, we'll go to Mussolini from Italy. Fascist states run on narrative control big time, which AI can generate media. Deep fakes and synthetic news anchors. You can manufacture content at scale, content and consent at scale. Every outlet, every channel, every feed, the same message, but perfectly tailored to your psychology. The point that I'm trying to make here is that these regimes were monstrous with 1940s technology, and AI doesn't make them. AI won't just make them faster at what they're trying to accomplish. It kind of makes them unstoppable if you really think about it. There's no underground resistance when the regime knows your thoughts or prevents you from thinking, from brain rotting you with this content, right? Shorts and this new form of content that we have today, where you get these dopamine hits, they're lowering our attention spans. And with the lowering of attention spans, the decline of critical thinking in our generation is on a high. So if you have a population who you're learning their psychology because the algorithm's getting to know them very well, and you're able to cause them to not engage in critical thought, you have full control of those people. They're sheep. Here's the thing. We don't have to imagine this as ancient history or what these guys did in the past. It's already kind of happening again today. Hitler, Stalin, Mao, Mussolini, and these terrible guys. It wasn't that long ago. That's your grandpa's generation, dude. It's already kind of happening today. China is the modern playbook for this. They're the live case study in action for kind of the principles I've been laying out here. China already has the most sophisticated AI surveillance system in history. 1.4 billion people with facial recognition on every corner, a social credit system, and predictive policing. But it doesn't just stop at their borders with what they're doing and trying with AI. China was linked to operations that deployed AI-generated fake news anchors on platforms like Facebook and X. A fictitious outlet called Newswolf running slick videos attacking U.S. policy and praising Chinese leadership. Nobody had to write the script. Nobody had to film it. They're just testing, can we run propaganda? If you follow geopolitics, you know that China wants Taiwan. In the Taiwan's 2024 presidential election, over 100 deepfake videos were surfaced. AI avatars posing as fake news anchors and making sensational claims against the incumbent, president or leader of Taiwan. And these are all attributed to foreign Chinese intelligence. One person can now create images that turn them into a video. They can create an image, then take that image and turn it into a video. Add a realistic voice. What used to require a whole production team and it took a lot of people to be able to put out mass scale propaganda. Now it just takes an afternoon, and you can pump out propaganda for a whole nation. You can just generate it. And what's going on with what China's doing and trying these things, it's kind of, the beginning of these unethical AI principles, these Hughes principles that I've laid down. They're playing out in real time. The tool is like power. It's a neutral thing. It just depends on who has it. The tool is neutral too. It is a neutral tool. It's the intent of the guy wielding the tool. But here is what most people are missing. And what they would do is, these leaders and this state-sponsored violence and this terror, they needed concentration camps. They needed death camps to control. They had to take a certain portion of the population and put them there and break them. It's how you control a population. Now you don't need that. You just need them to stop thinking. Brain rot, in my opinion, is the soft weapon. It's kind of just wearing everyone down a little bit. It's the most dangerous application of AI is not like the dramatic stuff that you hear on the news or whatever. It's just the quiet stuff that you interact with daily. Again, like I alluded to earlier in the video, your attention span is just getting absolutely cooked by watching all this content. Users under 25 can't keep their attention for 30 seconds. Average digital attention span has dropped 33% since 2015. A Nielsen study of 67,000 users confirmed average screen-based focus is down to just 13 seconds. 78% of Gen Z report phantom notification syndrome. You're pulled out of deep focus, not even by a real notification. It's just the anxiety that you get from this phone or whatever device you're using. And short form videos are directly linked. There was a new study by the American Psychology Association that the short form video content, how it's being produced and what it's doing, is directly linked to diminishing cognitive function. Thinking is a skill. It's something that you have to build. And like any skill, if you stop using it, if you stop critically thinking, you can't do it very well. AI generated content is not optimized for truth, not for depth. It's not there to probe you, to make you think, to cause you to grow. It's optimized for engagement, getting you to keep swiping. Which means it's optimized for it's exploiting the weakest parts of you, the weakest parts of your psychology. Like, it can think about what it can do, like the emotions it can get you to feel: fear, outrage, validation, repeat. So if you're pushing a narrative, like, and again, the algorithm kind of works like this. If you really pay attention to what it's showing you, like the sequence of videos, you get a video that'll get the person feeling outraged, maybe 2 videos, and then you get them feeling, fear, and then you're kind of validating what they're thinking. You got another guy talking about this, all within the form, 5-6 videos of swiping. And yes, maybe like the first time through, the guy's like, I don't think much of it. But if you just pump content for it, like the guy consuming that content is screwed. Like, you're brainwashing yourself, and you can't even have enough critical thought to be able to wake up and realize what it is. And I don't think brain rot is an accident. It's a feature. It's a feature for the one controlling the feed. It's not just culture. It's starting to penetrate the system that's supposed to protect us. In America, where I see the biggest concern, yes, we can have state-sponsored evil or, mass propaganda campaigns, and it can be ugly, and there can be war. But aside from all that, I think the most important thing, the final frontier, I'd say, of where ethical AI guidance is so crucial, is our legal system here and in government. When AI enters the legal system, whoever programs it holds the scales of justice. They hold. You ever seen the lady holding up the scale? They're the ones holding it now. Not Lady Liberty. Judges are already kind of using it in bigger cities. They're using AI, like risk assessment tools to determine sentencing, parole decisions, bail amounts. These systems encode the biases of whoever built them, right? If you're trying to target a certain group that you don't like within your legal system, because that's how you get people out of a society. Like, especially in America, if you're going to get rid of people, like, you can't just go take them. I mean, you can, like Trump's doing that with ICE, but, a real, like, let's say you had a group of Americans, and you can't just go kidnap a few million people and put them in a camp, but you can arrest them and have them tried legally and all convicted. Why not? Who's to say, like, who determines what's fair or what's not fair? The guy that holds the scales is the one who programs the AI model. If the government controls the AI that can interpret laws, and you kind of take the human critical thinking part out of it, there's no neutral arbitrator. Like, there's no guy to look at both sides and use his moral judgment of what he thinks is good and wrong. There's just regime logic, automated and laundered through the appearance of objectivity. No appeal, no jury, just algorithmic justice, which isn't justice. It's just algorithmic say so. A population that can't fight back culturally, psychologically, or legally, that's the end of the state. And that's what, a year ago I started thinking about. I don't know how many Americans are watching this. I get a lot of random viewers from all over the world, but George Orwell's 1984 book, I don't know, I think I read it as a junior or sophomore or whenever. We read it in high school. And reread that book and watch this video and really think about what I'm saying. My first point in the beginning, if you can think it, you can create it. If a man like Orwell can see that, it can be created. So what do you do with all of this? I'm not here to spread doomerism and we're doomed. I'm trying to give clarity on the situation that we're all in. If you can think it, articulate it, you can create it. It cuts both ways, good and bad. The same framework that warns about authoritarian AI also says the people building ethical, transparent, decentralized systems can win. The defense to it isn't fear, it's understanding. Know what the tools can do. Who holds it? Build your own capacity to think. Don't brain rot. Because a population that can think critically is the one thing that AI can't automate away. AI cannot automate your critical thinking. And a lot of people are starting to do that. They're giving their thinking to AI, which, if you can't sit in a room for 10 minutes and just think and ponder about what's going, whatever you got to think about, you can't critically think, you got a problem. Got a problem. The most dangerous person to a regime with AI is someone who still knows how to reason for themselves. That is the defense to this. If you guys, I don't know, if this video makes sense or was interesting, I have a whole bunch of I really do believe if you can think it, you can create it. And I have a whole bunch of stuff that I've thought up for AI and what it could do and special use cases for psychology or, in war and all these different things. I just wanted to bring this one because I see the foundations being laid, critical thinking being stripped out of society, and a population of passive, non-thinking people, and it's very dangerous. Share it with someone who you think would need to hear it, or might find it interesting. And again, I can go deeper on this stuff. I can even how could an AI system speed up a death camp? How could an AI system push out mass propaganda and target certain psychological profiles? Because that's really what it is. At the end of the day, everyone's a psychological profile. They have their own individual makeup, and certain types are more dangerous than others. They're the government, whoever is wanting to control is going to target certain types of people. Yeah, that's kind of all I got for this one, guys. Have a good night.